There is something in the sky right now that most people have completely missed. Venus is in Aries. Mars is in Pisces. On the surface, two separate facts about two separate planets. But in traditional astrology, this configuration has a name. It is called mutual reception. Venus occupies the sign that Mars rules. Mars occupies the sign where Venus is exalted. They are not making a direct aspect. They are doing something more interesting. They are exchanging power, each one operating in the other's territory, carrying the other's qualities into unfamiliar ground. Venus in Aries is fiercer than usual, more direct, more willing to pursue rather than wait. Mars in Pisces is softer than usual, more open, more willing to feel before it acts. This exchange does not happen often, and it does not last long. Venus leaves Aries on March 30th. The window closes. What you do inside it determines whether this was simply a week in late March or something you look back on as the moment you stopped waiting and started moving. Then, on March 26th, Venus meets Chiron at 25 degrees of Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. Venus conjunct Chiron surfaces the wound that lives in the territory of love. The fear of not being chosen, the habit of making yourself smaller so the other person has more room. The old story that says wanting is dangerous because wanting means you can be refused. Venus conjunct Chiron does not remove the wound. It makes it visible in full light. Invisibility is the first step toward anything actually changing. The mutual reception of Venus and Mars is creating a pressure in relationships right now, and the pressure is precise. Most people experience it as restlessness, a feeling that something needs to happen or be said or be decided that has been sitting in the holding pattern of almost for too long. The mutual reception activates both the desire and the courage to act on it simultaneously. Venus usually waits. Mars usually charges forward without checking. In this configuration, they are learning from each other. Venus is borrowing Mars's willingness to initiate. Mars is borrowing Venus's awareness of what it is actually reaching toward. Those who feel the frequencies recognize this combination as unusual. The dream of connection, of being seen, of someone choosing them and meaning it, that dream does not feel abstract this week. It feels like something that could be acted on, not imagined, acted on. I have felt this quality of energy myself, and I want to tell you what it requires. It requires that you stop outsourcing the first move. The mutual reception is not asking you to be more attractive or more worthy. It is asking you to be more direct, not aggressive, direct, to say the thing you have been forming in your mind and not saying. And then, Venus conjunct Chiron arrives on the 26th, and underneath all the fire, it asks the harder question. Not what do you want, but what are you afraid will happen if you ask for it? That is the wound Chiron is touching, not the desire, the obstruction to the desire. On the morning of March 27th, the moon enters Leo at 10:11 Eastern Time, preceded by a void moon period beginning at 7:41 a.m. The void moon in the morning of the 27th is not a time to initiate. It is a time to get clear. The sequence is this: the evening of March 26th and the night that follows, Venus conjunct Chiron is exact. This is the emotional clarity window, not for action, for honesty with yourself, for sitting with the thing you have been pretending not to want and letting yourself want it fully, without the armor of not caring. Then, the moon enters Leo on the 27th, and the energy shifts. Leo is the sign of sovereign self-expression, of showing up without apology, of making the gesture not because you are certain of the outcome, but because you are certain of who you are. The moon in Leo, following the Venus-Chiron conjunction, is not a coincidence. It is a sequence. The wound becomes visible in the night. The courage arrives in the morning. Those who feel the frequencies understand that timing is not passive. You do not wait for the energy to act on you. You use the quality of the day to do what needs to be done. Venus leaves Aries in 4 days. The mutual reception ends. The exchange of power between desire and courage closes. Most people will let this window pass the same way they have let others pass, by waiting for certainty that never arrives, by deciding they need to feel more ready, by choosing the discomfort of wanting in silence over the risk of wanting out loud. Those who feel the frequencies know that readiness is not a feeling that precedes the action. It is a feeling that follows it. The move you have been postponing does not require perfection. It does not require a guarantee. It requires the same quality of energy available in the sky right now. Desire that has finally gotten honest about itself, and courage that has finally gotten soft enough to mean it. I have felt this shift in myself, the moment when the protection of not caring became more expensive than the risk of actually showing up. The sky this week is asking whether you have reached it. Venus conjunct Chiron closes one story about what you are worth and what you are allowed to ask for. The mutual reception opens the space where the new story is written, not by waiting for someone to write it for you, by acting as if you already know how it ends. That is what the next 24 hours are for.